If we don't get smart quickly, China will destroy our country.
I don't want from China, but you almost have to buy from China. It's ridiculous.
China is draining our wealth. The Chinese do not respect us.
One thing I can tell you, China won't be ripping us, Japan won't be ripping us, Mexico will not be ripping off this country like they're doing right now.
Donald Trump repeatedly warning America about being tied to China. Now that we're seeing worries about China wreaking havoc on our markets, is he right? Hi, everybody. I'm Dagan McDowell in for Neil Cavuto. To Ben Stein, Charlie Asperino, Adam Lashinsky, along with Katie Pavlich and Scott Martin. Neil and Charles will be back next week. I can promise that. But okay, Scott, right here, right now, Trump right about China?
So far, it looks like he is, Dagan. If you've been watching any of the volatility in your 401k this past week or in your investments, it's directly related to some of the issues going on in China. And this isn't out of the blue, though. I mean, if you look at commodities, of which China is the world's largest commoditizer, or at least the buyer of, guess what? They have tanked in the last year or so because demand is falling. China's economy is in big trouble. They have benefited, though, from a peg to the U.S. dollar. So while their currency should have been appreciating all this time, guess what? They've had lower.
Wait,
so
today, I am the anchor of this program, and you know who we're going to go to next?
This is so ridiculous.
Who knows more history than all y'all combined? Ben Stein. Ben, you're being awfully quiet. What do you say?
Well, you're being very kind, Dagan. We love China. China sells us quality goods at low prices. We get the best of electronics with their low-wage labor at low prices. They buy our bonds with their surplus in trade. They support the American dollar in every way. They are the best friend the American consumer ever had. And if they have free markets. Those markets have done incredibly well in the last several years. Recently, there's been a significant correction, but overall, they've been a great boon to U.S. investors.
And
I think China is our friend. I mean, we don't want them waging war. We don't want them seizing territory. But economically, China has been an incredible boon to the United States of America.
Well, I would just second what Ben would say is that I agree with all that, except for maybe the friend part. I don't know how much of a friend they are.
Yeah, except for that cyber, hacking and the spying and the suppression of the press.
But he's right. But Ben is absolutely right on all the economic issues of what China's done is a net positive. And let's get back to the original thing you said. Did Donald Trump call this? Donald Trump called nothing. Donald Trump didn't predict the Chinese stock market collapsing. Donald Trump did not predict that the Chinese GDP would go from what is allegedly 8% to maybe now 5%, depending on who you speak to, and depending if you believe the numbers coming out of the country, because they don't use generally accepted accounting principles. Donald Trump predicted none of that. All Donald Trump did was say, let's get into a trade war. Chinese leaders are more cunning than our leaders, and let's slap some sanctions on.
But Katie, what he has been concerned about our ties to China, and one of the biggest links we have is that we've run up our debt, and China has been the buyer. China has been lending to us.
How's that their fault?
But it's not their fault. But it's a dangerous link because we're in bed with them.
It's not a bad thing.
Would you let me finish? We rely on them to buy our debt because we are because we can't pay our bills.
Yeah, right.
Katie, the other lady on the program, what do you say?
Look, I think that if people are concerned, whether you're pro-China or anti-China, if you're concerned about the way China is affecting your own 401k, you have to take a look at the bigger picture as a country. And the fact is, we do owe a lot of our debt to China, and we have no plans to really pay it off anytime soon.
That has nothing to do with your 401k. Zero.
It does.
Sure it does. There's some treasury.
Finish, for goodness sake.
If I I didn't say that the debt was direct correlation to the 401k. I said if you are worried about the Chinese markets having an effect on your 401k, you should pay attention ultimately overall to
don't buy Chinese stocks.
I didn't say they were direct.
Don't buy Chinese stocks.
I can make the connection. Wait, I can make the connection. This is a canard. They've been selling. Do you
know what a canard? No, actually,
no, they're not. They've been selling treasuries in the last weeks to raise dollars to devalue their own currency.
Dagan, this is a non sequitur. Okay, the bottom line is this: Donald Trump did not predict anything. The Chinese are not destroying our economy. This is a ruse.
They're taking our jobs.
Wait. let's get
Taking
Adam
our
in.
jobs.
Let's
This is
get Adam
nonsense.
in here.
Yeah.
Let's get Adam in here.
So-
Since you and Charlie are going to be best friends on this program today.
Well, you're absolutely right, but I'll start by knocking him, which is that, as you know, I don't like it when Charlie calls President Obama stupid, because I don't think it's a kind word.
No, I think he's
What I
stupid
will
when it
say
comes to some of his economic policies. I think he did very well.
Understood, and
I
what
think he
I will
did very
say-
highly, scored very highly on his LSATs. So just so you know that.
Thank you, Charlie.
So they say.
What I will say,
So they say.
what I will say about the statements that Donald Trump is making, and where I totally agree with Charlie, is that they are ignorant. They are ignorant statements by somebody who is trying to be a populist,
Right.
who probably doesn't even believe what he's saying, because we take money from China and we use it to fund our economy. It's a very good deal for us. We should be very pleased that they're investing in
And
the
they buy it
United
at very
States.
low interest
And-
rates, too.
Well, you guys sound
and
like
we benefited.
Well, you guys sound like you're ready to move there. And Adam, you're a journalist.
No.
I mean, you have zero freedom of the press in China. Good luck having a career there, Scott.
I'm happy to talk about.
You keep changing
Dagan,
the subject.
No, I'm not changing
Dagan,
the subject.
Right.
You are.
That's what was said earlier. Ben
I
said
agree
it
with
was a
my
free
good friend
market.
Charlie.
Ben said it was a free market. It is anything but that. If you guys want to go over and open a business in China and play ball with the Chinese
that's not
government,
the question.
good
Again, you're
luck.
changing the subject.
You're changing the subject.
Let's have
Oh my God.
No, they
let's
said it
have
was
a
a free
whole
market.
panel
It's
on
You
that.
think that Donald Trump called the Chinese?
Can we take
prices?
Donald Trump out of the
And Charlie,
equation
he's
for
part
a
of
second?
that.
We have
No,
to
because
take him out of the
with China,
equation.
Why
no,
should
you
we?
can have concerns about China and the national debt and the markets in China as a separate
You think
issue.
his concerns are
You can
legitimate?
have concerns about it without having Donald Trump in the middle of predicting anything.
No, he's a leading
bottom line
presidential
is
candidate.
China is doing things like stealing our intellectual property. They are manipulating
No,
their
small
currency.
thing.
They are doing all these other things.
Yeah, the currency.
Sure. Yes. Yes.
They're manipulating
But
the
bottom
US
line is
currency?
you
Let's
can
let them
have
peg it to
concern
the
about
dollar
China
and have a cheap
holding that much of our
currency.
debt
So
without
let me ask
having
you
to
this:
have
Do you
Donald Trump
think?
Wait, go ahead, Charlie.
Let me ask you this: Do you think the Fed manipulates the currency more than China, or China manipulates the currency?
We have our own problems. but this
they're
is
two
about
separate
China.
issues.
No, it's not. If you're
Yes,
going to
they
say
are.
that China manipulates our currency, I would say low interest rates have more of an impact than anything
I
that
said
China's doing.
manipulate their currency. I did not say they manipulate our currency.
You brought up Donald Trump wants to put.
We all manipulate currencies.
Yeah, that's what we all
Everyone does.
do. I know.
Well, Charlie, you brought up
That's not what I said. So.
Charlie, you
Quoting
brought
is
up
important.
Donald Trump wanting to put tariffs on.
Okay.
That is not a good idea, because you know who can school us on tariffs? Ben Stein, but not right now. Ben, watch this.
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the the Great Depression, passed the the tariff bill, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act.
Right, Ben?
It's Smoot-Hawley, I thought.
Right.
Both.
Isn't it Smoot-Hawley, Ben?
Right. It is.
He just
it
read
should
his
be
lines.
Smoot-Hawley. You're right. You're right, Charlie. It should be Smoot-Hawley. But look, China has been incredibly good to us. Yes, they are an aggressive power. Yes, they are a rising power. Yes, they've done a number of bad things. But overall, they have benefited the American consumer fantastically and the American investor fantastically. We should not be picking fights with them, especially someone as incredibly ignorant as Donald Trump should not be picking
let's
fights
be clear
with them.
about with all
Thank
the
you.
economic problems we have, where do they? I mean, that's all he does is talk about China. I almost can hear him in my sleep say the words
good,
China.
Charlie.
I know it's pretty good. China. It really, of all the things we have to worry about, like a ridiculous tax code, corporate tax rates, you name it, of entitlements, he's railing on China.
But you know what? He's resonating with Americans because they are worried about us running up our debt and getting in bed with a country with questionable practices.
I'm not saying Donald is a demagogue,
Is she
but
talking to
demagogues,
you or is she talking to me?
demagogues rational. Demagogues do this all the time.
Is she talking to me or you?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying.
She's looking at me.
I don't know. She just pointed.
She's looking at me
Okay,
to ask
well,
me
I'm
a question.
sorry. I wasn't looking at her. Looking at you.
Katie,
Yes, ma'am.
you get the last word.
Look, I think that China can be a positive force and a negative force, and I do think it's a concern that they hold so much of our debt, and people are concerned about China because they're being blamed for the market crash in the United States over the past week, and people want answers on whether that's true or not. And we've discussed that here today.
It's not true. It's simply not true. The traders caused the crash.
Okay, I love you all. We make peace in the commercial, and when we come back, if you think the Iran nuclear deal is a bad deal, wait till you hear the price tag for that deal.
Today on Forbes on Fox, Democrats using Donald Trump's own words to push their tax hike plan. Are they misquoting him, or has Trump got it wrong? Also, Hillary Clinton doubling down on the president's green energy push. But would that cost taxpayers even more green? We'll see at the top of the hour.